All right, hey, welcome to Geek Talk. My name's Jonathan Chestnut, and we're here today with Soltren, my faithful sidekick and companion who disagrees with me on so many topics. And so we're going to be talking about geek stuff today, like we usually do.
Yep.
And The Flash, you up to speed?
Completely.
It's a joke. Are you up to speed? You get it? All right, so what do you think? Who do you think
Savitar.
that dude? What do you think who he really is?
Well, I first thought he was going to be Wally West because it was just foreshadowing like how Wally was becoming unstable and how he got his powers from Savitar, so maybe he was possibly Savitar. But then since he switched places with Savitar, I was thinking it's probably somebody else, maybe another character that was with the group and originally. Maybe it's Future Barry, Eddie Thawne, or someone else, but I'm not sure who it is just
like
yet.
That Future Barry. Yeah. Originally, when it started showing up and he was only speedsters could see him, I was thinking about there's a character sort of, it was an obscure character named Abracadabra. It was like a wizard. Well, he was a guy from the future who was sort of a stage magician, and he used future technology that looked like magic dust because, of course, we're savages. And so he came back from the future so that he can make himself into this famous magician. Everybody's got to have a goal, I guess. And he ended up in conflict with the Flash, and so he used future technology to make himself look like a wizard, even though he really wasn't. And he had a book. He appeared once, and he did all these things to Flash where Flash could only see it. And what it was is he had synced to the Speed Force so that only people that had Speed Force could see it. So I thought that might be the way to go. Savitar, I remember back in the 90s when the character showed up, he was basically just another speedster. Mm-hmm. But he had just been around for a while. He was sort of like the Jedi master of speed. There was another guy called Max Mercury that was too, but and they had been long-time sort of rivals. Mm-hmm. I'm still kind of buying the vibe, though, of how they've got this set up. I'm thinking that it may be Wally from Flashpoint because of things Savitar said. So I was thinking, like, the idea that if Savitar, was Wally and Flashpoint was collapsing, and he's like, oh, no, I'm losing my universe. And he takes off, he jumps in the Speed Force to save himself, and he gets trapped there. And he blames Barry because Barry basically made him get there because he altered it. And because he made the statement, he says, I started thinking about the Wally from Flashpoint could be my out. And he figured out that if he got the new Wally super speed, he could exchange positions with him because he says, nothing is destroyed. There has to be an even exchange. So a Wally for a Wally. So I think that, that might also give us
That's one I would like to see. Like, I think that one would be better than a Future Barry or Eddie Thawne. That would be like more of a twist. It isn't Wally, but it is Wally, but from Flashpoint.
Yeah, I mean, the only downside for me is that every season it's like there's some secret speedster hiding close to the Flash. The first, it was the Reverse Flash, and then it was Zoom because he was hiding as Jay Garrick, and it was like, okay, y'all starting to hurt my head. Can we just have like villains show up and everything? So, I don't know. Walking Dead, you said you were up to speed on that. We were talking about that earlier, and you said you like it, and I said I don't like it.
Why don't you like it?
The biggest problem I have right now is with this new group they found, this sort of weird cult that lives in the junkyard. Yeah. Okay. I don't really understand why zombies show up, and it's only been 3, 4, or 5 years something since the zombie apocalypse kind of occurred, and so we had this cult that showed up, and now they have their own sort of weird language. They've like given up English. They all talk all weird, like they just sort of this like strange dialect that doesn't really make sense.
When were they speaking the dialect? I don't know.
The leader does. It's like,
she just talks like she's awkward, like just the way they speak.
But the rest of them talk the same way when they were talking to him. It was kind of like, okay. And then you also have. I mean, I get the fact that it's a fantasy show, and I have to be a little disconnected because there's zombies, but you have Americans, people that 10 years ago were living in America and everything else, and they have this guy who's decided he's king, and he's walking around with a lion or tiger.
Yeah.
You know how much tigers eat? They eat a lot. They eat
There are a lot of walkers too.
He's not gonna feed them walkers.
We don't know what he feeds them.
I don't know. They eat a lot, and so here we are scavenging to survive. When I see that tiger, I'm thinking, we might have to eat him. That's where I'm at. But I mean, as far as like the action goes and everything else, yeah, the second half has been much better than the first half. The boat, that whole getting out on that boat thing, that was kind of cool.
Rosita's been getting me frustrated. Like, it's just like her goal is to destroy everything Rick has planned. And I mean, I know she's emotionally unstable because of Abraham, but I think they're pushing it too much, how emotionally unstable she is.
Well, I don't know if I'd say she's trying to destroy what Rick's doing.
Unintentionally, but
well, maybe unintentionally. I just kind of see she's frustrated, and she wants Negan dead. And until he's dead, everything else is just a frustration. It's just in the way. And everybody else is kind of like, let's hurry up and get this guy done. But, I know from the comics that Negan is sort of a long-running villain. He's almost like Joker to Batman.
Yeah.
So no matter what happens, I don't think Negan's going away this season. I don't think it's going to end.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Even if they do deal some sort of mortal blow to the Saviors, Negan's gonna get away with some lieutenants or something like that, and then he's gonna come back later. It's gonna be a reoccurring kind of thing. But no, I don't see Negan dying. I mean, I don't even see his baseball bat Lucille dying at this point. So, you don't watch Supergirl, right?
No, I don't.
See, I love Supergirl. Just for the sheer cheesiness of it. I mean, I'm a little upset that Mon-El doesn't fly. Mon-El is a character they've introduced, and he's a Daxamite, and they kind of altered the story a little bit, and they put Daxam, which was not in the same solar system originally in the comic book universe. Daxam was a colony of Krypton long ago and had rebelled and everything else. And so the species-wise, they were very similar, but and they both lived under red suns. But Kryptonians, they were in the solar system by themselves, and so when their planet blew up, Daxam wasn't like right next door. In this new series, they put Daxam as an inhabitable planet in the same solar system, and they had been in conflict with them.
Yeah.
Because Daxam, I do kind of like the fact that they made Daxam sort of more of a medieval kind of party planet. The people were much more hedonistic in just kind of the way they lived, and they looked at the Kryptonians, who nobody really talks about it, but like in the first, in the Christopher Reeves 1979 Superman, 77 Superman. The idea of, and even in the new Superman, where when Jor-El was sort of the AI kind of wandering around on that, Kryptonians didn't engage in physical activity together. They didn't have sex. They basically contributed to a genetic, both male and female, and this machine would make the baby.
Yeah.
It was like the super sterile. And so I always, when I hear about and they've got Daxam over there and they're partying and drinking, and he's all about girls and everything else, it's kind of interesting, the juxtaposition that they put those two. But so they have hinted to the Legion of Superheroes, which is kind of cool, because Mon-El is actually a member of the Legion way in the distant future. The character was originally introduced in the 1950s, I think, or 1960s. He basically shows up, and he doesn't have any memory, and Superboy meets him, and he decides that since he has powers like him, he must be from Krypton. And he found him on Monday, which is where Mon comes from, M-O-N, and that he kind of looks like Superman, so Superman thought that his cousin or something, so that's why he called him Mon-El, and so that's where that name came from. Later, you find out that Mon-El is from Daxam, which is a similar. They can get the same similar powers. They actually have the same powers on Earth, but they're vulnerable to lead for whatever reason. But what happens is Mon-El starts getting sick because there's lead all around, and so Superboy puts him in the Phantom Zone, and he stays in the Phantom Zone until the far future, where Brainiac figures out a cure for it.
Yeah.
And so he frees him from the Phantom Zone, and he joins the Legion of Superheroes, where he did have a relationship. No, he didn't. He didn't have a relationship. Brainiac 5 had a relationship with Supergirl, so that's a whole other thing. All right, I'll stop about that because you're just nodding at me because you're like, I don't watch this show. I don't know what he's talking about. But no, Supergirl is kind of cool. It's a lot of fun. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
It's gotten really slow after Ghost Rider.
Yeah, the LMD thing.
It's a good idea, but I don't think they're pushing it a little bit.
It is interesting. I mean, they're kind of going in the opposite direction of the first season. The first season was magic. The second season is sort of technology, AI. But the AI is being affected by the Darkhold, and that's what's kind of... so, yeah, it's a little slow in going.
It's kind of like they're trying to push the Secret Invasion, though, like with the Skrulls and how the Skrulls could shapeshift, but they already did the Secret Invasion last season, Secret Invasion in quotation marks, because it was nothing like the comic.
Yeah, but nobody's introduced the Skrulls yet.
Yeah, but I mean, still, like, the Skrulls were the ones in the Secret Invasion, if you remember the comics.
In the comics, oh yeah, Secret Invasion. Yeah, because that was actually kind of cool, because you had all these, every team had a Skrull on it. You didn't know who it was. Yeah, that was... as far as it goes, I don't know. It might pick up as we go along. I like this whole virtual kind of thing they've got happening, this whole virtual sub-world, and it's like... I'm just scared that we could end up in... back in, I don't know, you're much younger to remember this, but there was a show called Star Trek Next Generation.
I watched a little bit of that show, not that much.
And that's with Picard and all that, and they introduced a thing called the Holo Deck. Basically, it was a space where people could go and put in their own fantasy, and it would be sort of a 3D. It would use force fields and light to, make any environment. And so every once in a while they'd have these episodes that, they were the Holo episodes, and you'd have the entire cast in like Robin Hood or something like that. And so I'm a little scared that they're going to end up with something like that, but we'll have to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
The next thing he listed for us, our wonderful producer Todd, is Legion. You're not watching Legion?
Not yet. I'm going to start, but...
If you're not watching Legion, you're really missing something. It is not what I expected. And I expected good, and I'm getting great. Because it's not a superhero show. It kind of lends itself to the whole mutant crisis thing that happened back in the day when they first started hating mutants. But honestly, man, the complexity of it and the fact that you're sort of in the mind and out of the mind, and there's all these sort of, astral plane things happening. Like, last time they just encountered, or one of the team that he somehow has ended up on, has finally seen the telepathic parasitic thing that lives in his head. And so it's like the villain's there, and he's been there all along, but you don't really realize he's the villain because it's so deep, and it's really just so fascinating. One thing he didn't put on the card that I'm gonna mention, there's a new, it's called JL. It's JL Action Adventures. It's Justice League Action Adventures. It's a new cartoon series that runs on Saturdays. It comes out Saturday mornings, but they're only like 15 minutes long. They're like cartoon minis. And I was really, because I love Young Justice. It is the greatest cartoon that has ever existed. And thank God we're getting a third season. I love you, Netflix, just so you know. But the JL Adventures thing has actually been kind of cool. The art's a little simpler. The stories are a little more child-oriented, but they're still fun. But it's not moronic like Teen Titans Go. So, you still have that sort of superhero thing, but it's not, it's not eating burgers and pies, stuff like that. All right, so that's that one. That's TV. Is there anything you want to add to TV, man?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Well, there's Arrow.
Yeah.
Arrow's been pretty good. I did not see that happening with the DA. I really didn't see that coming.
They snuck that in because Adrian Chase in the comics was the vigilante. And so
that's why I saw like he was the vigilante, but like nobody I think really thought he was gonna be Prometheus. Like,
well, yeah, they really snuck that around because like years ago, I mean, you're talking 1970s. Adrian Chase was the vigilantes, or 80s, whenever it was 80s because it was after Crisis. I mean, he was the vigilante, and so they kept showing the vigilante, and I kept going, okay, that's gonna be Adrian Chase. That's gonna be Adrian Chase, and then poof, he's Prometheus. I was like, all right, cool twist.
Yeah.
Let's see where this goes. So I'm thinking it might be like a Skrull thing, like the guy was sort of replacing Adrian Chase or something like that.
Like I was worried though, like they were gonna throw in Malcolm Merlin or do something stupid like that, and I was like, I don't want to see a past character coming and becoming a villain, because I mean we've already seen so much of Malcolm Merlin, and I kind of felt good seeing that it was somebody who was so close and that you wouldn't really think was going to be like the bad guy, the main villain.
Yeah, and I was kind of thinking, I was actually going in a different direction because they introduced the siren from the Evil Universe.
Oh yeah.
So I was thinking it might be Wally or not Wally, but Oliver from the Other World. Basically trying to take this Oliver down, or take apart his life so that he could eventually replace him, or something along those lines. Because you think about in the world that he lives in, he's a supervillain and he uses a bow and arrow. And while he's pretty bad, you live in a world where Zoom exists. He probably took a beating from Zoom.
Yeah.
Because Barry's biggest problem is. For all the super speed and his powers, he's very passive. He doesn't want to hurt people. Whereas Zoom wouldn't have that problem. He'd have taken them apart. All right, so some movies coming up. Guardians 2, that's this month, right?
No, that's May.
May?
May.
Oh, see, it can't happen fast enough. I've seen the previews. It just looks fun.
It's going to be just so great. It just looks like it's going to be more funnier than the last one and just hilarious.
Marvel's killing it with these movies. And then we've got Spider-Man.
They haven't released much. Only that one trailer that came out in December, but that's it.
Yeah, and Spider-Man villains are tricky, so I'm really excited that they've got the Vulture in this one. And it's funny because the guy that's playing the Vulture was the guy that played Batman. It was the guy that played Birdman.
Well, that's cool.
And so it's kind of like he's got this whole bird motif going on. It's kind of cool. I'm not a big Pirates fan. He's got the Pirates listed on here.
Yeah, I told him about it. It looks really good, actually, because they're bringing back Will Turner, who was in the first, second, and third. He hasn't been in the more recent trailers, but the official trailer that they released, they showed him, like, really quickly. Like, but now that he's part of the Dutchman, he is, like, not really, he's still human, but he still has that Dutchman vibe to him.
Oh, okay.
So...
Well, we'll have to see how that plays out. I'm just, like I said, I watch them when they come out, and maybe on demand or something like that. But I'm just not a big. I know there's people that live and breathe that, but
I really enjoyed them when I was younger because like the music was amazing.
I like the first one, and the second one were good. It was kind of got repetitive.
Yeah, the third one I've never finished. Like I've always started it but never finished it.
You lack commitment. Thor Ragnarok.
They've just released information about it.
Yeah, and I'm not, I don't know. I get frustrated with what we do in the world today, and so like Thor Ragnarok, I think they released an image picture and they made Valkyrie of African descent.
I'm not sure.
I think so.
Valkyrie's the woman, right?
Well, yeah, Valkyrie in classic Norse mythology, the Valkyries were the blonde-haired women that rode on the back of Pegasus and took the dying from the battlefield. And but Marvel's trying to multicultural it and bring in these other people. And I'm like, okay, I get it. I get multicultural. I get all that. I'm cool with that. But it's like when they did Gods of Egypt and they made all the Gods of Egypt white guys. I was like, what's that about? at least let's hold, the Norse they weren't non-inclusive because they wanted to be. They were non-inclusive because those people weren't there. They lived a continent away. I'm interested, but it looks like it's going to be like sort of World War Hulk, Planet Hulk, and
because supposedly like Loki, I'm not sure, I don't remember well, but something happens that he sends Thor to that planet, or Thor somehow ends up in that war planet, and he becomes a gladiator, and then Hulk is the leader of the planet's like #1 gladiator, and they have to fight each other, and then they go like kind of like on a road trip. The article I read said
on a road trip. Thor and Hulk on a road trip. Yeah, that would turn out well. Yeah, no, that would not turn out well. But we'll have to see how that one plays out. I mean, but honestly, all the movies have been so much fun. I mean, there's been some good ones and bad ones that are better than others. But honestly, even the worst of them have been a lot of fun. So
probably the worst one was probably The Incredible Hulk since all the ones that have come out right now.
No, I would have to say Iron Man 3, the remote-controlled armor, the sort of flying remote-controlled armor jumping, around.
Oh yeah, that one was kind of weird because he had so many suits, and when they attacked his house, I was like, why didn't he just deploy all his suits? Because he had like 50 suits in there that could have defended him.
Maybe his Wi-Fi was the first thing that went down. You don't know. I mean, hey, who knows? All right, so then he's got Wonder Woman. DC's been catching a bad rap for their movies, but I'm really excited about Wonder Woman because I think, this is the first time we're seeing like a major motion picture, comic book, story arc carried by a woman. And nothing is better than Wonder Woman for that. There's just no way around it. And the actress is amazing. The woman looks like Wonder Woman. There's no way. I mean, now that she's Wonder Woman, I can't picture anyone else doing it. And so I'm hoping for the best. I think that it's interesting that it's going to have sort of that time jump, and that we're going to see that, but we're also going to see some deep villains. Like I think Ares is involved, so we're going to see some of that idea. Covenant, what's that? Or is that the new
Alien? Covenant.
That's the new Alien. Okay.
It looks pretty good. I mean, I haven't seen any of the original Aliens. I've seen Alien versus Predator, but that has nothing to do with. I know it's really terrible compared to the originals.
I remember seeing Alien. In space, nothing can hear you scream was their slogan. But I don't know. They keep these franchises are worth so much, and they keep them alive. My 10-year-old is over the world about the idea of another Aliens movie, and I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know how this one's gonna go, but because I have to watch them all first, because if it's too messy, he has to wait until it's on regular television, so they cut out because there's apparently a shower scene where the aliens jump them in the shower. I'm like, is that really necessary?
Yeah, sometimes they put too much extra stuff. I'm like, you can just leave that out, put it as a deleted scene or something.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see how they reboot the whole franchise, because I mean, they're remaking the Predator, and we all know they're probably going to lead up to another Alien versus Predator movie again. And now with our better CGI graphics, it's going to look a lot better than the other one with the green guts just spewing everywhere.
Well, we'll have to see how that plays out. Sometimes it's like we were talking the other day about the old Godzilla movies, and my sons were like, they were just like guys in suits, and I'm like, yeah, and your point, they were amazing. Godzilla, he had sort of the puppy face. He had the sort of rounded face. They had made him less confrontational. I was like, but it was the 60s and 70s. It was cool.
I mean, some of them are still pretty bad, like the ones from, I think it was Japan, Gojira. They made one like right when we came out with our Godzilla. That one was just terrible. I saw the end, and he was shooting lasers all over the place, Godzilla. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I hate it when we get culturally competitive. It's like, well, Godzilla was theirs, but we did a pretty good job with it. So.
And then with Kong coming out, they're leading up to a Kong versus Godzilla movie. So.
You think so?
That's what it's made by the same studio.
Oh, okay, maybe. I'd like to see. Because honestly, I've heard great things about the Kong. It's one of those. I screwed that up. Oh! Thanks, Todd. No, wait, that was me. All right. Apologize for the technical interference. All right, so we were talking about Kong, talking about how that. It's one of those ones that, and the idea of being on an island and having this giant ape and everything else. It's kind of like what I talked about with the zombie stuff. There's this whole, you just got to let certain things go. And so, I was listening to a guy who was talking about that he had seen it, and he was like, "No, this happens and this happens," and I'm like, "But there's a 100-foot ape on there. Can you just, just accept the fact that it's going to be,
sci-fi-ish."
You need to disconnect a little bit. You can just kind of say, last, he's got Logan on here. You haven't seen Logan, and I don't want to do any spoilers, but I will say, as a person who's probably seen every superhero movie that has ever come out, even the really, really ones that nobody should have ever watched, like that Justice League TV show pilot, against the Weathermen or whatever it was called. Logan was an amazing, amazing story. Just the idea, it's not a lot of special effects. The characters were deep and thoughtful. The actors were, of course, amazing. And there is sort of a sense of completion to the whole story. And so just, you just kind of have to look at it like that, like they're telling sort of the swan song, and you see the depth and the love that these characters have for each other. So it was amazing. And so even if you're not into superheroes, it's definitely a good movie to watch. And so it definitely takes you in that way, because that's kind of like my wife. She doesn't like superhero movies. We're going to talk about MageCon a little bit, and so we're going to invite Dr. Frobish to come down and join us, and so he's going to appear right over here. So, Dr. Frobish, why don't you come on down and stare. Good job.
Come on down.
Oh, and we're taking a break.
we want to do like Price is Right style.
That's 27 minutes already.
Hey, you run your mouth too much.
So unless we want to do like a 40-minute show,
Oh, okay.
I don't think it matters per se.
Or we could do make it 2 parts. Have like the first part and then part 2 with Dr. Frobish. Okay.
You can make me edit.
Yeah, because the alarm went off. I forgot. And then, I have no water.
I mean, we could just go until. Yeah, I wasn't supposed to be up there. That was just for focusing.
You want me to just do a closeout, and then we could just jump to a closeout and be like, And next time we're going to talk about MageCon, and we're going to talk about
maybe in the
drones.
Logan special next week we could.
40 minutes. We have 13 minutes left. If
Works for me.
that's the case.
Yeah, we can make it 40. We have no confined time.
I need to go get the drone. It's in
All right.
the office. So.
You are not prepared. Slack.
But I'm probably gonna go see Kong and Logan next week. So.
I might take the boys to see Kong tonight.
That's cool.
They both want to go see that. And I want to go see giant monsters fighting each other.
Yeah, I know it's probably gonna be good in its own way, but I really like Peter Jackson's. The one, you know what I'm talking about? I think it's Peter Jackson's.
The one with Jack Black.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was basically just a retelling of the original.
That was one of my favorite movies.
I'm pretty easy as far as that stuff goes. I bet you can't fly it all the way from over there to over here and land it right here.
If you want me to crash it into you, maybe.
I could use some workman's comp.
I like my job too much.
Am I supposed to slide over now?
Yes.
Slide. You better slide because he's gonna hit me in the face with that, and I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna be like, eh.
And my volume.
Hi, Dr. Frobish. Thank you for joining me and my faithful sidekick, Soltren, here today to talk about MageCon.
Hello. Testing.
Hello.
Okay, I think I'm good.
That's not what I've heard, but okay. So what are you going to tell us about drones? How to make one fly up and down in your office.
How to be careful.
Yeah, read all the rules. You don't want to go to jail. For a flying thing, it makes a lot of noise.
Be careful. They might try to hack that camera.
Yeah. Do you work for the CIA? You ready?
Yeah.
Hey, welcome back. We want to thank Dr. Frobish for coming out of the control booth and all the way down here to the table. So far. I'm surprised you didn't break a sweat. We're going to talk about MageCon. What's happening with MageCon? Because you're like sort of running the show on this.
By myself? You're supposed to be helping.
Well, I do help a little bit. I made the logo.
So MageCon is Fayetteville State University's first attempt at having a gaming convention here at the university. It is set for April
7th, 8th, and 9th?
7th, 8th, and 9th. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday in the Student Center here on the campus. 2017. So it's going to start basically around 4 p.m. on the Friday and go until about 9:30, and then all day, all evening Saturday, and then it'll be the morning probably of the Sunday.
Yeah. All the good stuff will happen Friday because that's when I'm in charge.
So Friday we're planning some board game demos. I think that's about it, maybe on the Friday.
Yeah, I think isn't there a Pathfinder session or something in the evening?
There'll be some Pathfinder games, probably more so for the local people, but Saturday is the big day, I think. That's when we're going to draw all the external members of the community.
And we've got some Dragon's Lair from over in Yakin Road, the oldest comic book store in Fayetteville. They're going to be joining us, doing some, I think, maybe HeroClick demos and.
I would like to participate in that. The HeroClix.
Oh yeah. We're going to have to be there, man. We're going to teach new people how to play. We got some giveaways for that kind of stuff.
Gamers Guild's going to be here.
Yeah. Garrett and his crew.
Running Magic the Gathering drafts, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh card games. They're going to be assisting with the board game demos throughout the entire convention.
Yeah.
They'll also be doing some HeroClix, I think, Battle Royales, which are 4-person games.
Yeah, those are always fun because it's just, let loose.
Yeah. And you really don't have to know a lot of these games before you come here, and we'll train you, we'll teach you, that sort of thing.
Yeah. This is mostly just sort of an introduction session. And honestly, if you even have just questions about games that aren't even there, if you walk in and say, hey, I want to know about this game, I'm sure we can find somebody to show you what we need to do.
Yeah, and it's open to pretty much anybody, young kids all the way up to college or adults like us.
Or, people that look like adults. We don't.
Geeks of all ages. But I think we've set a $10 fee for the entire weekend, and maybe $5 a day. If you just want to come for a single day, maybe just $5.
And this is being hosted overall by the Mage Guild, which is the manga, anime, gaming, and entertainment club here at Fayetteville State. And so they're inviting these people on, trying to basically get people out of their dorm rooms and get people off campus to see what we do here at Fayetteville State. And if you're a nerd, this could be home. Yeah. And so there's all kinds of ways and reasons. So we're gonna be having a good time.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. And so the flyer will be coming out today, and we have
a Facebook group that we set up.
Yeah, you can search.
It's called MageCon. Is that
MageCon? MageCon, just like you read on the card. I think it's MageCon at Fayetteville State University.
Okay.
So, just check us out. Come out and join us. Now, why do we have R2D Fly on my table here? What's up with this thing?
So this is the drone. People have probably heard a lot about drones in the news and so on. Probably there's a lot of YouTube footage out there that you've seen using drones. We purchased a drone for the Department of Communication, Languages and Cultures, mostly for the videography students, to teach them how to take video footage and still photography from the drone's perspective. I'm learning throughout this process. There's actually a lot of work that has to go into not only learning how to control a drone, but also certifying it, making it legal for you to fly it. A lot of people buy a drone and there's no instructions, there's no list of here's what you'd have to do before you fly it legally. So a lot of people buy their drones, they go out there and fly it, and they can get into some trouble. I've seen some YouTube videos of people getting arrested. So some of the rules about drones before I show you some of the operations. So when you get a drone, if it's more than 0.55 pounds, you have to register it with the FAA.
So there's like those little tiny
airwaves, right? The little tiny ones you can probably buy, and that's not going to interrupt flight paths of planes and so on. But if it's more than 0.55 pounds, you have to register it with the FAA. And I actually have my FAA certificate number here on the drone, which is also a requirement. Otherwise, it's a $27,000 fine.
Let me get my checkbook.
Yeah, you certainly don't want to get caught flying a drone without that. Depending upon your state, you also have to go through a state process. And here in North Carolina, there is a state process for flying drones. There's 3 different licenses: a commercial license, there's a residential license for recreational use, and then there's a government license, which would fall under us because we are a state entity. And I'm working through that process now, and there's a test that I have to take and so on. So some of the basic rules that the FAA has set up is you cannot fly more than 400 feet high in altitude, mostly because of flight paths of planes, helicopters, and so on, without at least contacting the nearest flight control operator. So they can't forbid you from flying your drone, but you have to at least let them know that you are planning on flying and what kind of drone it is and so forth, so they know what to look for on their radar.
This will show up on radar?
It will show up on radar.
Wow.
Yep. So within 5 miles of an airport, you have to let them know. But you cannot fly more than 400 feet tall. You can't fly more than 100 miles per hour. You can't fly over crowds of people. That's illegal.
Yeah, I can see that just plummeting out of the sky.
You can't lose sight of it either. You have to fly it within your line of sight. These things can go well even within 20 minutes, which is about average for a battery life. You can fly well over a mile, mile and a half away from you. So you have to maintain visual contact with the
show
drone.
Me that.
Now, in terms of the operation of the drone, this is the Phantom DJI Phantom 3 Plus. Sorry, Phantom 2 Plus. I'm getting my numbers confused. This is the back, this is the front, and you can see there is a camera, a GoPro camera attached. The battery is in the back here. 4 propellers, so it's called a quadcopter, what they call them. There is a controller, and for this one, it works through GPS. So there's a GPS lock. When you first turn it on, it boots up and it takes a GPS reading of where it started from. And that's important because if you do lose sight of it later in your flight, you lose control or contact between the controller and the drone, or the battery goes below 10%. It'll fly home by itself and land by itself, which is amazing technology. It remembers where it started from, and it'll fly itself back.
But now, if you're flying through trees and stuff, it will make the most direct route.
Right. It does. This particular model does not know to avoid trees and buildings on its way home.
The next one up does.
So there is an upgraded version of this that has object detection, and it can fly around trees and buildings and such.
It's interesting how they're layering that kind of technology, because that's the same technology that they're putting in cars now, that sense the car in front of you.
For the auto driving cars, yeah.
Eventually, we're just going to be lazy, and that's going to carry me home. I'm just like, meh.
Well, so GPS is one system that it uses to operate. The other one is a Wi-Fi system. So there's a Wi-Fi extender here on the controller. I clip my cell phone into the clamp here while I'm operating it. And I can basically see what it sees while I'm flying through wireless signal. So I have to just connect to the Wi-Fi signal that it's broadcasting.
We're going to use the FSU Wi-Fi?
No. It connects with its own Wi-Fi signal.
Okay, just checking.
So it sends out a DJI Phantom Wi-Fi signal, and I connected that on my phone. I attach it, and now I'm in full operation of the camera while it's in flight mode. I can take still photography through the cell phone. I can take video, and I can actually control the gimbal. The gimbal is what controls the up and down movement of the camera, much like this. I can use it on the controller or my cell phone. Basically just 90 degrees one way or the other.
Gimbal sounds like a mechanic from the 1950s. I'm going to take my car down, gimbal's going to fix it for me.
If this isn't pointed the way you want, then of course you have to rotate the drone towards the object you want to film, and then you can control the angle. So there are two controllers here. One controls up and down and rotate left, rotate right. The other one moves forward, back, left, and right on the drone. So it'll take some getting used to. I would suggest definitely practicing in an empty field a little bit, so you get used to how to rotate, how to move forward, back, up, and down, because it's if you've never flown these sorts of things before, you can crash it, and these propellers are easy to break. Trust me.
That's what I was about to ask. Was it's one of those? You get people go out and they buy these things, and you're going to invest a considerable amount of money. How fragile is it?
Yeah. This one costs $400. They go well up to $4,000. You can get metal blades, but the problem is that if you happen to hit somebody with it, it will take flesh out. So they recommend plastic blades always. There are propeller guards you can purchase, and I have some on order that fit underneath, and they extend out around the propeller, so that if it bumps into a wall or a tree, it's going to hit the propeller guard and not the actual propellers. I actually hovered this in my office not too long ago, and it was probably a bad idea because it was a small confined space, and it did lean to one side, and I broke a propeller very easily.
Oh, okay.
So you want to be careful. But to turn this on, this is very simple. You turn them at a diagonal, just like that. If I were to move it up, I would simply move that controller, the left controller up, and it would actually hover. I don't want to do it here because it's, again, a kind of a confined space. Puts out a lot of wind.
I know, I'm liking that part.
And if I were to start hovering this would go a lot faster and make this a lot more dangerous, so I don't want to do that.
Yeah, let's not do that.
To turn it off, I can simply move these to the inward diagonal, or again, I could just hold this down until it shuts off, which is a lot easier. So there's a lot more to it than that, but that's kind of a primer on drones. They're a lot of fun, but they're also kind of dangerous, and that's why there are these rules to help regulate their usage. There are possibilities of, I've seen drones with guns attached.
Let's not do that.
People can, maybe remote control fire guns from drones that are unregistered. I mean, so there are some dangers here.
I'm not liking that plan.
Follow the rules, and there shouldn't be any problems. I've seen somebody get arrested for flying one of these at a national park, which is against the rules. So always make sure when you go to a park to contact the local Parks and Recreation office and see what the rules are about flown use.
Because this is really new technology, and what happens is laws get passed regionally, and you want to make sure that you're in the right for this kind of thing, because they're not going to come out favorably, because they look at you as you have a very expensive, very dangerous toy.
Yeah. Flying weapon.
It could be a flying weapon. It could, so be mindful and follow the rules. Well, Dr. Todd, I thank you for coming down out of the booth and joining us out here.
20 feet. Yeah.
20 feet is, for some of us, that's further. But we really appreciate it. And as we move forward, and as he shows and does more with this, we're going to start tacking on some maybe video, showing the uses of these things. And if you have any questions, this is kind of really cool, geeky technology. And as this kind of stuff becomes more commonplace, we want to stay current and be talking about it. If you have any questions, check out the FSU website, www.uncfsu.edu. Look up the comm department. Dr. Frobish is the chair. I say comm department, but it's actually a much longer name now.
Communication, languages, and cultures.
Yeah, there's a whole lot. He's a very busy man most of the time. But this kind of stuff, we want to stay on the edge and we want to be talking about it. And so we've talked about, there's some robotics happening here on campus. And as this is more commonplace, we're going to be bringing it to you. Yeah. All right, well, we thank you, and thank you for coming down. Sure. And again, my sidekick Soltren, and we just chilling. Have a good one.
Adios.
Oh yeah, I forgot this part.